Yeah, so it's so good to be here, and I feel very honored to be here to speak to you about my journey. Yes, I'm very grateful to God for bringing me this far, because if anyone had told me that I would be a chef or a baker, I would have laughed because if I didn't even know how to cook until I came back from service. All through university, I didn't cook. At home, I don't cook. As a typical husband, we shy away from a lot of things. So I didn't know how to cook. And then I remembered after service in 2012, I finished serving in 2012, so I came back home and there was no job. But all through the time, it didn't even occur to me to, learn anything. I was home for about 7 to 8 months. I was just sleeping. I was very active on Facebook. If I was so bad that around 2 a.m., I would sleep off, holding my phone like this. And my mom would come to my room, remove my phone, and like my hand would just be like this. It was that bad. So, eventually I got a job in a secondary school. I was teaching computer science because honestly, I was looking forward to probably getting a long service award in one tech company. It didn't even occur to me that I would be here. So eventually I started teaching computer science. I was very small. If I looked like a student. And then when I go to school, we take pictures. I didn't, I was just doing it for the fun of it. Eventually, I got a job in one of the top telecommunication companies in Nigeria. And it was really good. I loved the company. The pay wasn't so great, but the opportunity there was amazing. And then I had amazing colleagues too. So, it was fun. And then there was internet. Me and internet were like 5 and 6. I don't joke with internet at all. So, there I had access to YouTube. I started learning how to cook. There are times that I would learn how to make ordinary stew. Go back home, I would try. My sister would say, she's like, you've not perfected it. I just started like that, like that. But then I realized I picked interest in it. I just love creating beautiful things from very simple things. And that's what my page is about. Like, if you know my page, you know that I'm very intentional about the things I put out. Yeah, so I started learning how to cook. I would take to work. And mind you, I was working 12 hours, not even 9 to 5. So I resumed work by 8 o'clock. I closed by 8 o'clock. So after my night shift, instead of me to go home and sleep, I would enter market, buy rice, buy pepper, everything, cook, take to work at night, share to my colleagues. It was free food for them and they were enjoying it. So, but then they were giving me feedback. Eventually, I said, okay, you know what? I can't be just cooking for you guys and you just be eating everything. You guys are saving your salary and then I'm the one spending my money. I was just giving them food. Then one day my boss called me and said, my birthday is coming up. I want you to make pizza for me. Mind you, I've learned how to make pizza on YouTube and I'll take to work. And then, sorry. Yeah, so I would make pizza, take to work, we would eat. Then my boss told me, okay, my birthday is coming up and I want to support you. Even though you've not started a business, I just want you to do something. So he paid me to make 3 pizzas for my team. And guess what? It got burnt. And I was late for work, so there was no way to make another thing. So I just said, you know what? I'll just package it. We'll eat all the toppings. So I got to work. My colleagues laughed at me, but my boss called me and said, I just like what you do. Like, I see you making it big in this thing. I'm like, okay, I'm just doing it for the fun of it. I don't want to be a baker or chef or anything. But gradually, they would pay me to make shawarma for them at the office, and that was where it started. Even though the plan was not to, make money from it, I was just doing it for the fun of it. But then reality hit me in 2016 when, now this is the company is still running now, but at then they had serious financial issues. So 2016, they said they were laying off. And I'm like, okay. It didn't occur to me then that, they can just call you to just leave my work one day. I'm like, okay. So my boss told me, all of them, my team were like, you don't have a problem now. Should be started cooking. Go and start business. I said, business how? I don't even know how to run a business. Like, I'm looking forward to collecting long service award in one company. Nobody should bring this thing to me. So I was like, okay, what's the next thing? What do I do? But then I was lucky because one of my friends in another telecommunication company told me to send my CV to the company. And then I got to the company for interview. I realized that most of my colleagues have already sent CV. We're about 35 and we all knew each other. It was like we're just gisting. But guess what? I was the only one that got the job. And the day I left my previous company on the 4th of December, I resumed the company on the 5th of December. So it was like there was no break for me. So I left a 12-hour job to another 12-hour job. But then when I entered this company, the new company, immediately I resumed the company. There was just this energy I felt that this is not the kind of place I want to be. I didn't know what was it about, but I just knew that I don't want to spend a long time in this place. So I said, okay, I'm giving myself three years in this company. I just said it. And that's why, the words you say matters a lot. And also as a business owner, you cannot just run business without having something to hold on to. If it's God that you believe in, please hold him very tight because I believe in God and it has really worked for me. Whatever you believe in, you need to believe in something. I just said it that day. I said, God, I just want to spend 3 years in this company. I want to just, be able to build something for myself. Even if I leave this place to another company, I just want like 3 years to just build my business. That was what I said. So I joined this company. The pay was actually very good, but the work environment was nothing compared to where I was coming from. It was too toxic. And then there's one thing about me that when I put my heart into something, I just ensure that I pursue it. Like, I just follow through with it. And it was one of the things that stood me out in my previous company because they know that when it comes to my work, I will give it my 100%. So when I got into this new company, remember that the goal was to work for 3 years and then start my business or probably, transition into my business fully. So this new company, it was nothing like where I was coming from. It was too toxic. But I said, you know what? I'm going to divert all the negative energy into my business. Are you following? I will divert it into my business and just ensure that I build my business within 3 years. And that within 3 years, I would make a name for myself. And trust me, I had this very wonderful boss. Remember I said we work 12 hours, 8 to 8. My boss would have gone home since 5. When it's time to hand over around 8 o'clock, he will now call and say, you guys did not do something. You have to wait. I have waited at the office till 10 p.m. I was working at Marina. I was living at Mero. Yes. And then I'll still come back to work the next day. In fact, there was this scenario that I think really changed everything for me. That day, we closed around 8 p.m. as usual. It was raining heavily. And then I had the cakes. By the way, I'd started baking. Gradually, I wasn't perfect, but I was just trying. So I had a client that wanted a cake the next day in the morning. So my mind was like, okay, even if I close by 8, I'll get home by 10 or 11. I can work on the cake. And then my boss started. After 10, I was still at work. And it was raining heavily. My colleagues were like, okay, we'll sleep in the office. I said, no, I cannot sleep. I need to go home. I got to Obalende around 11. And then I've never seen that kind of traffic before. In fact, there were no buses. Obalende to Oshodi then was around 150. They carried the 15 that night. And as on me that I was then, they would push me like this. I'll run back. I was like, it was so bad. Eventually, after 12, I was still at Obalende because I could not hustle my way. Later, I said, okay, you need to give yourself sense. There was a time one bus came. The way I pulled the man was like, where did you get this strength from? I was like, because I knew that I needed to deliver. Eventually, I got home 2:30. In fact, it was so bad. I got home 2:30. My sister was like, Kuku, kill yourself. Let's know that, yes, you are the only one working in this Lagos, And then I got home 2:30. Between 2:30 and 4 o'clock, I started decorating cake. By 5 o'clock, I was out because then I would go with my sister's husband to Oshodi to meet with clients, or sometimes I would go myself. I didn't know delivery then, so I would carry my cake myself to their house. So he dropped me at Oshodi in the morning. I was so stressed. I was like, okay, how will I continue? Then, so I said, okay, I was going to get trained. That I don't want to really do cakes. Like cake, I love to bake, but decoration and code, they're not really my thing. I really love to do dessert. So I decided to sign up at RL Dessert. So remember, I do 12 hours. Sometimes I will finish night shift from Marina to Ogudu for training. For after the training, go back to the office. There are times I carry cupcakes to work to decorate. It was just back and forth like that. Then I remember one time my boss actually upset me. I was so upset. And I'm the kind of person that when I get to work, I just plug in my earpiece. I don't really make friends at work. And based on the kind of environment I was, I didn't really make a lot of friends. So it upset me so much. I was so upset. I didn't say anything. I just got home. And guess what? I resigned. Hey, when you resign, when you do something, that I don't fuck up. Yes. I felt it because remember I told you that 3 years, but then this was around April of 2018. I resigned. Immediately I said, if I did tell my boss I was resigning, and my boss had other bosses too. So I just got home. I just wrote a letter. I didn't even send to my boss directly. I copied him in the mail just to know that I was upset. So immediately I sent the mail. I just paused. Like, okay, you don't enter. Although I had plans, but I didn't really put, I was not really done with my plans. I didn't have a lot of savings. Things were not in shape. But out of anger and frustration, then my boyfriend then was like, you don't resign, Abby? I said, yes. He said, okay, so what's next? I said, I don't know. I'm sure I'm not going to work again. So, I was still in that mood. Then that night, I just said, I was like, okay, God, it's now me and you. I know I've messed up. Just help me. It's just me and you now. Just help me. And guess what? I think the next day, a new boss came and then saw my resignation letter and was like, okay, this person didn't give notice, so why did this person resign? Now called my boss. I was like, okay, why did this person resign? What's our work ethics like? Who's this person? And my boss was like, honestly, she's actually one of my best hands. And I know that I actually pushed her to resign. And guess what? The new boss said, I don't care what you're going to do, just call her back. Hey! I was like, okay. I didn't like the place, but the money was good. The money was good, honestly, but I didn't like the place. And then my boss called me and said, okay, why did you resign? I now use that opportunity to tell him, okay, I don't like the work environment. I'm the kind of person that even my staff knows that if you come to the bakery, you will not want to go home because it's always very fun. So I like that kind of environment. But when I'm in a space where my mental health is being troubled, I like to pull myself back from that kind of space. So eventually I apologized. I said, okay, what are the people giving you issues? If I remember my mom was there like, sure guy, I said, yes. What are the people giving you issues? I'm going to just cover up for you and everything. Now, so eventually I got back to the office and I was happy, Like, yes, I'm back. I got my job. But still, I had a time frame for myself. So I just kept on going, even when things happen that I don't like, because of the time frame, and then I had something pushing me. I had something I was looking forward to that. You know what? In just 3 years, it's going to be over. And guess what? During that time, I was actually building my brand, and I know most of us think, okay, I'm working, I cannot take a lot of jobs. What do? I can't keep telling my clients, no, no, no. Now, for me, I'm someone that I'm very shy. I don't know how to market to people. I don't know how to go walk up to you and tell you I bake or I do this one. Come and patronize me. But one thing I leverage on is my social media presence. I do not take it lightly at all. So then I would carry my followers along on my journey. Whenever I'm at work and I'm exhausted, I'll write it in my caption. I'm at work today. In case I did not take your order, please just permit me, So they became like my family. In fact, there are times that if I don't post on Instagram, they would come to my DM to say, are you okay? Is it work? They already knew. So don't say because I'm working, I don't have time for Instagram, you just leave your page like that. Let people understand what you are going through. They don't know you personally, they can't see you. But when you create that, environment for them that they feel warm, they can warm up to you. So, I was always putting that out, that if some bakers would call me, I'm like, don't kill yourself, fool. I remember when I met Beams and Drums, we're having this mentorship program with Seat Indulgence. I would close from work, go for a mentorship program. Sometimes I would sleep there, go back to work. It was crazy. But then I had something that was driving me. I just knew that, you know what? Then my business was already gaining traction. People were getting to know me. So I said, you know what? Everything I'm going through here is for a season, right? And then I remembered in 2019, when I eventually resigned, I didn't even, then it wasn't even, I was not really looking forward to the date. As at that time, I'd even forgotten that I told myself 3 years. It was 2 weeks after I resigned, I realized I actually spent exactly 3 years in that company. And I didn't realize it. So I joined the company December 5th, and actually quit the job December 5th. But I didn't realize it, because that's why I said the power in your tongue too. It was weeks later, I realized that I actually spent 3 years in this business. So yes, do we have people that are working here? Do you have 9 to 5 people here that you're working? Do you have people working here? You are working class? Okay. So maybe you're working and you're thinking, oh, this work is too stressful for me. I want to leave. One, you need to understand, why do you want to leave? When you understand your why, then ask yourself, how do I leave? When you find out your how, then when do I leave? So let me go back to why. If you're saying because my boss did something to me, I want to leave, trust me, your clients will do worse to you. If your client says, oh, you should have been wise enough to do this, will you say, I'm not doing business again? What's the difference between your client saying you should have been wise and your boss saying you are stupid? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So if we say because somebody did this to me, my colleague said I don't even know how to dress, they will do worse to you. So there are some reasons why, you can't just quit your job. Assuming when I quit my job that time, when I sent in the letter, if not for God's intervention, trust me, I would have suffered for it. I would have been able to make up much later, but it will take me a long time. And even when I eventually resigned in 2019, pandemic came in 2020. If I remember, one of my friends or one of my colleagues called me, I was like, maybe you should have waited. Now, see your life now. So I'm like, well, God, this time that I left in 2019, instead of the fear I experienced initially, this time I was at peace. I felt it too, that, yes, you know what, I did the right thing this time. And then when pandemic came, my friends are still working. In fact, they lodged them in one nice hotel. They were paying them. But that 2020 happened to be like one of the best years in my life. That was when I knew that my photography skill would it would blow me up like that. I think that was when a lot of people got to know me in 2020 through my pictures. So it goes to say that you need to align your life with God, honestly. You cannot just do some things without involving God in it. If not for God's mercy, when I quit my job that time, because I knew that I wanted to do this, but it was not the right time. It was not the right time, and I would have suffered for it. So why do you want to leave? Understand your why. Is it because, okay, I can no longer accommodate a lot of orders? Is it because my boss is doing some things to me? Is it because my colleagues are doing these things to me? If there are things that we can correct, we can work towards that. If there are things we can manage, we can work around it. But if there are things that maybe it's already affecting your health, or you're really feeling depressed, then you can now start making plans that, okay, this is the issue. How do I now work around it? How do I live? You can give yourself a timeline and say, okay, I want to build my business within 2 to 3 years. I want to be able to gain enough followers. I want to be able to penetrate into this kind of market. When you have those things in place, and you're already working towards it, it's not just about you saying, okay, but in 3 years I want to do this, and you're not doing the work. You need to do the work. There was one time I went for an event. I was coming from the event, and then it was on the island. I was going back home, and I got to that Obali on this side, and then I remembered my life when I was working. I was like, how did I not run mad? Honestly, because you can imagine working 12 hours a day. You come back, I was still big. I would wake up again by 4 o'clock, I'm out already. And I was doing that for almost 7 years. Like, God, if I was just quiet in the bus, like, this was my life for 7 years in this Lagos. You enter traffic, a lot of things. So I know that it's not easy, especially in this kind of economy that we are now. Trust me, it's not. If you're still working, you're still getting the extra salary. If you can manage, you can work around it. I know there are a lot of people that are baking already and want to enter into that space again. They want to get a job. Fine. If you know that your strength can carry it, try to balance up, try to manage. And then another thing I figured was, if my work ethics at work was very bad, my boss would not have been able to say, come back to work. But because they knew that I was giving them value, right? They were able to say, okay, you know what, come back. And then by the time I was leaving, it felt right between the two parties. So don't go to work and say, after all, I have my own business, and then you just treat people anyhow, talk to your colleagues anyhow. Trust me, these people, they are watching. And then they will still patronize you too, whether you like it or not. So have a very good character at work. You don't know when it's going to come true for you. Now, when you've established your why, the why, and then the how, then when should I quit my job? When should I drop the paper? The truth is, there's no perfect date to resign. Because that fear will always be there. Okay, what if I resign? What if in 1 month I don't have any clients? What if this goes wrong? What if that? There's no perfect date to say, okay, I want to resign on this particular date. But once you're able to put the work, and that's why they said your numbers. You need to know your numbers. If you don't know how much you're making monthly or weekly and you want to resign, it's just double commotion. Honestly, because you don't know what you're doing. You're just there. You're just, So know your numbers. Know, okay, if there's no job for me between March and April, how do I survive? Will the whole world know that I'm out of job? Will I start begging people for money? But when you put these things in place, it helps you to plan ahead. Am I making sense? So please, if you are working and maybe there are some orders that you cannot take, explain to your clients. Tell them, oh, okay, sorry, this time. And then, still try to post on your Instagram. Honestly, I cannot tell you how much Instagram has helped me. Instagram has done a lot for me. I know most of you think, okay, I don't have content, I don't have anything to post. Like Mrs. Lolade said, content is key. It is key. Honestly, all through last week, I didn't go to work at all, but nobody would know because I was still posting back to back on my Instagram. And this is a community where you don't really know most of your clients. So if you don't put in the work, you're just doing yourself. So please, if you are in that space and you're thinking, okay, this is too much for me, I want to leave, I want to quit my job, do the work. Understand why. Don't leave because of emotions. Don't leave because, somebody did this to me, and because of that, I want to leave. Put in the work. Make sure that, okay, your business on one side, you're putting the work. People can see the work. Not that you post one day, and then next 3 days will not find you. Next 5 days, if you can schedule your post, just do that. And then try to be nice to people. It won't cost you anything. Be nice to your colleagues, even if they don't treat you well. Even if we've seen a lot of people around us, we even have them as clients that they don't. Some will just come and say, I want to order something. Do you know how many yes, ma'am? I don't care who is coming. Yes, ma'am. You have this. Yes, ma'am. Is it not your money I want to collect? I collect your money. I do the job. I deliver. Yes, we are good. It won't cost you anything to be polite to people. So you just create a very positive energy around you. Do the work. Put in your best foot forward every time. So that when you leave, you'll not be like me the first time that I felt, I don't fuck up. So that when you leave this time, you would feel at peace with yourself. And then, regardless of what happens, even when, COVID happened and then I was not working, I was able to, come around and just come up with something else that actually fetched me money without baking or doing anything. So please, and then lastly, also, do not forget to involve God. I say this all the time. Do not forget to involve God in your business. Because there are times that you might feel, the time is right. but then it's not the right time. And if you make that mistake, not everybody's going to have the opportunity to get called back the second time. Once you make that mistake, you've made it. So please, and try to rest. I know I'm not the best advocate for rest because, yeah, they're already laughing at me at the back. I'm not the best advocate for rest because I multitask a lot. In fact, just thank God that you're seeing me and I did not run mad because the way I work here. But please, if you're able to schedule it and you're able to, put rest in between, please, by all means, rest because it's only when we are alive that we can do the work.